Good Thursday, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. No big announcements off the top. Just going to go ahead and jump into some critiquing. I wanted to start off by welcoming Annabelle to the group and appreciate the Stranger Things post that you created here. I haven't seen this analyzed before. This is absolutely beautiful. I love the cool, warm combination, the magenta and the cyan. Forrest did a great job of pointing out the rim on the thumb and the subsurface that's happening there is a really great reference of that. But the thing that I really like about this is you don't need to know the show, you don't need to know the episode or what's going on in the storyline. You know that there's something special behind this hole, and she is mesmerized by it, and you know through the lighting that there's a connection there, because if you're doing this in CG, this is something that you want to do. You want to engulf this entire region between them with elements of that pink light. So like the way that these particulates in the air are picking up that pink light, and just like the extreme saturation between those 2 points is really important in helping to tie things together. Now, additionally, it helps that it helps that like the way that the light is positioned is creating some really nice rim lighting on her and good shaping, because I'm not 100% convinced that this light at this angle wouldn't be coming in more over here. I'm guessing they may have like helped alter that a little bit, or maybe she's a little bit closer to camera, like just a shade this way in order to get that look. But I think that works out really well. So this is a really, really good example of good lighting when you're trying to get a character to analyze something small, like they're looking at something, they're looking at their prized possession in their hand or on a shelf or something, making that connection between them, and then allowing a complementary color in the surrounding space to offset that a little bit. So really great job there. Let's go through our haunted house submissions. So let's start with, so Dani, we've got 3 submissions. Okay, so the question was whether or not you wanted a third element in there, and I don't think it necessarily helps us. I think we should just stick with the 2, because that allows us to create a construct that allows us to go darker in the middle here and then just really focus in on these 2 patches. So these light sources, again, they like this is, I feel like it would be this big. So the light should be coming out like at about that width. So something you want to try and accomplish there. Something else about that is if it's going to be that big, like, stage shadows aren't quite this sharp. There's a little bit of softness around the edge, so I would work towards that. And then additionally, it's a matter of, it's interesting because there's a lot of fill light in the middle here. Like this is pretty well lifted. Like the clouds are still pretty white as they go back into space, but like opposite the key side on the character is very dark. So I would, because like this light is hitting the ground and hitting off the car, it's going to bounce around in here. Like all this light's got to fill in. Like, so I would almost create an area light on the ground underneath that would shine up and like really kind of fill in that like really bright spot of light. And then I would really take down some of the values in the middle here. Like, don't lose shaping, but overall value should probably come down. And then I would start from that and then build from there. All right, so Emma. Okay, so Kyra, yes. All right, so I love your approach to this. I love that you'd like, okay, I want to figure out my color scheme. So let's just like quickly adjust and just do like 4 of them right away, right? Like boom, 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 boom. And now that like if you, I think this is the one that you decided upon. Great, and you were asking about next steps, and that's great because like your mindset is in the right spot. Your next step, so I always work big to small, and color scheme is a great place to start. From here, with the color scheme, you're already starting to tell a little bit of the story. Now let's focus in, because we have a lot of light sources right now, which is one of the major challenges of this set. We've got, all this interior light in here. We've got these street lamps. We've got the moon. We've got the headlights. We've got this light over here. What is the most important one? What are we doing to drive the audience to the area that we want? I'm not going to say what it is because I'll let you decide that for yourself. But let's say, for an example, if this character, and by the way, great job combining Sir Desmond Rotundus in this. I think that's a lot of fun. if this character is your main focal point, then let's figure out a way to get our focus back there. Maybe these lights are, like the way, do you see how you have like the diffuse here coming out? Let maybe diffuse these a little bit more so they're not quite as contrasty. Maybe turn off all these lights so that we can focus in here, and maybe downplay these lights or something like that. So I think that's where your focus should be next, is figuring out and identifying what is the way in which you're going to direct the viewer's eye to the most important element of the shot. And I would go from there. All right, so Mauro. All right, Nigel. Great stuff. I think that the lens flare is now, I love that you've included it. It's just too big. Let's tone it down let's keep it like right around this region here. Let's not allow it to occupy this space, the way that it's kind of coming up in here, because that will, let's keep these the car area and the house area a little bit separate. I think it works out very well that the sky is flipped a little bit. You can still put a slight bit of rim on the house and maybe a little bit over here, just to kind of, like on these rocks, to kind of tie these together just a little bit. But I think that's working really, really well. So this looks like a window. If that's a window, like let's put a reflection back there too, or just like a little bit of, like if we can maybe see a little bit of the reflection of the creature in that. And then maybe I would just darken on this side too, just kind of vignette it a little bit. But I'm really liking the way that the headlights are spilling out over the ground here. I think that's looking really good. And then maybe just diminish the scale on this like noise pattern on the car. It's feeling a little bit big, and also it's just like a little bit consistent. That might be in the map that we gave you. So if you can try and, because it's like kind of just everywhere evenly, maybe try limiting that to certain areas around the car. Would be a fun little challenge there. But really good stuff. And if you're watch out for some hard shadows in there. Just notice that. And I would encourage you to explore the space a little bit too. So like as you're getting this lighting set up, like try, like I said, try and do a close up on the porch. Try and figure out some different things there. That could be a lot of fun too. Perle, we'll come back to. Okay. All right. So let's start. Okay. So we got Annabelle. Cool. All right. Dani, we've done this one. All right. Okay. So with this one of the things I really want to nail down this look, because it's just not, I think there's a way of doing it better, because it's just not shaping out the way that I would want. Like, I think that we can get, and I was looking at some reference. So I was looking at a way of getting like a silhouette that's still a strong silhouette read, but like we're getting kind of this color over the top. And it's just like a little bit softer and a little bit like brighter and softer behind. And then just like a little bit of carryover onto the character here. And I think that, did I have one more? I thought I had one more. But yeah, I think that could, let's see. Oh wait, here we go. Yeah. So I thought that this one was a nice reference to, this is from a John Carpenter thing. So the way that these eyes are, with the haze kind of engulfing behind, and then just like a little bit of spill of that color and that value over top of the character, I think could really help. Because the one downside is this character doesn't really have much detail, or really any detail from what I've seen. It's just like this harsh line. So let's just keep the character itself dark and really kind of soften and brighten behind it. Keep the silhouette pretty solid throughout, with just a little bit of that light spilling over. Let's try that for the next iteration, and I think that might be a good spot for this one. And then character table, it's looking pretty good. Got these spotlights happening here. The character is feeling a little bit mushy, and it would be nice to get some more specularity in the skin. It just feels like it's like a gummy bear, and there's no specularity. So just try and work some more specularity, especially into the, you've got some here, but let's like really try and amp that up, especially in the key light area. And then for this one, I should have pulled up the reference, but it's just like the darkness of this brick versus the lightness of the columns is problematic. Like because it just feels like they're being lit by two totally different light sources. And I think that's because the material value of the brick is much darker, and it's just not feeling quite the same. So either lift that up or take the columns down or something, just like get them more in line. Also, like all this stuff feels very dirty, but the ground and the pews feel pretty perfectly clean. The color of this light coming in through the window does not, like that feels more greenish, where the ground, it feels like it's being lit by more blue light. So I would try and sync those up a little bit. And then also like feeling these blacks isn't exactly, like I want to feel like that from the reference. I want to feel like this overall kind of misty, foggy, like, and this is a crude this is a crude example of it, but like you want it to kind of overtake the space a little bit. Like you want it to kind of engulf everything. You don't want there to be like these jet blacks in there, right? You want to use that as like an environmental fill light kind of a thing, to really bounce light around in there, and to get it'll lift the levels a little bit. It won't be totally black, but you just want that color to kind of infuse and bake itself in every nook and cranny in the scene. All right, Emma, I think this is looking great. From the previous version, you cleaned up around those edges. You shifted the background color to match this, which really, really helps tie it all together. I would be ready to call this one done. I think the only thing that you may want to do, and totally your call, is just increase the eye whites just a touch. But overall, I think it's looking really great. I think that, I would call old Adam here done and move on to your next one. So really great job with that, and let's go from there. Mauro, so I pulled up your original just to show the progress that you've made on this, and what a really, like, a full, let's take it back just a little bit. Just like such a strong shift, such a strong like your work and the amount of energy that you put into this is really, really, really paid off, and I think you should be proud of what you have. Only note that I have left, let's see, it would just be a couple little things. So kind of a hard shadow there. Let's just try softening that just a touch. There's a little bit across here. Whatever's causing that, just soften that up, and then just darken a touch more back behind here. Like maybe even just making it more this tone, the cooler tone back there, and you just, in whatever you're using to color shift it out, and then maybe just darken down here on the tentacle. But other than that, I think it's looking really great. I think this is a fun little project, and I think you've done a really, really fantastic job of improvement over the course of it. All right, Perle, love it. Love the reference. I'm going to tell you the one thing that I saw that I was like, okay, she's starting to see it, or you've already seen it. I'm not going to take credit for it. Is that specular highlight. The fact that you were able to identify that in what most people see as a graphic, kind of a 2D thing, is showing to me that you're actually seeing it and you're not thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you draw something from observation versus memory, like you're working from observation, which is exactly what we want out of reference. And I think that, like, I love that this subtle variation as we go back into space there looks really good. The only thing I'm going to have you do with this one is, do you see how, like, in this area and then up under here, and it's all kind of a cooler fill value? You see it here. So, and that's even working against his red costume. I think that in here, we can push more cool values. So try and create a light underneath that really pushes some cool value in there. And I think that'll be a good next step. And then just from consistency point, it would be cool if, like here, because this is kind of more fill lit, if this got more rim light from the red back there. And then the core value gets a little bit darker. But really great job. Like you're seeing it, you're recognizing it, you're adjusting to it, and that's exactly what we want. Let's make sure, let's just do a quick once through, make sure I did not miss anybody because I was jumping around there, and I think that we are all good. Yeah, good stuff. I love it when can I tell you guys how much I love it when you combine the assets from our asset library? I think it's so fun. Let me just check one last time to make sure. Where'd it go? To make sure that I'm not missing anybody or that. Yeah. Oh, weird. I just want to make sure that nobody posted while I was critiquing here. Oh, huh. Oh, there we go. All right. All good here. No, you got everybody. Oh, wait. Nigel, I meant to call you out on the Osmosis Jones. I forgot. I think that's a very funny reference. Okay, cool. Yeah, great job, everybody. I think this is looking great. And, yeah, can't wait to see what you guys have tomorrow. All right, happy lighting, everybody.